because I'm going to relate it to what's going on in Senate Bill 1177. I was an expert witness to the Department of Interior National Infrastructure, Health, and Education Data Security hearings, and this was on December 8th, 1994, and I presented a paper that was, the title of it was Exploding the Medicalization of Schools. It was how Medicaid would become the financial vehicle that would mandate and remediate mental health outcomes. The report explained how schools would be required to obtain a partial hospitalization license to bill for Medicaid through mental health wraparound services at school, with the identification and redefinition of disabilities for all children who would be at risk. The whole idea was that the Department of Ed would be using Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and IDEA, which is the Individual Disabilities Education Act for special ed, to sustain and implement the agenda. And Ira Magaziner, who was the main architect of Hillary Care, and this is what the hearings were against, his quote was that Medicaid would merge into the main health care system. So, a lot of people would say, well, gee, what does that have to do with education? And that's exactly what I would like to talk about today, was what is in that piece of legislation, why it is there, why these things have to happen in order to move toward a system where the schools become a medical model. And when you think of it in those terms, it becomes to be more understanding of what has happened and what needs to happen in the future for the federal government to implement this agenda to medicalize our schools, our neighborhood schools. So that's where I'd like to start.
That's great. And just so people, because we do have some new folks on the line, I want to explain to them that this bill that you're talking about, the Student Success Act, is the House version of the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind, which was the reauthorization of ESEA, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which was originally passed in 1965, that gave federal dollars, Title I federal dollars, to children who were economically disadvantaged. And so I just want to give folks that background. Am I correct on that, Anita? And so this bill that you're talking about tonight, the Student Success Act, is the House version, and then there is also the Senate version, the ECAA, the Every Child Achieves Act. And both versions, the Senate version and the House version, have both passed the Senate and the House, and now they're in committee. And so they're merging the two bills, and then we will have one opportunity to stop it when they vote, when our House and Senate vote again. And if they vote for it again, then it will go to Obama for a signature. Am I correct on all of that?
Correct. You are absolutely correct. Let me also point out that both H.R. 5, which is the House bill, and Senate Bill 1177, which is the Senate bill, is not the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind. It is the direct reauthorization of ESA. Now, the first two that came out were definitely the reauthorizations of No Child Left Behind, but when they were rewritten, they were totally rewritten to actually reauthorize the original ESA, which was the Johnson 1965 Title I, in order to help poor children learn to read. Okay, so this basically is a total revamping of the original bill. So I wanted to clarify that, because some people still refer to it as the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind, and that is not true. So we have to move
I'm so glad you said that, Anita. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I
was one of those people. I didn't understand that, so that's great. Thank you for that clarification.
And definitely the workforce skills, the industry clusters, the career pathways are all definitely incorporated into those bills. Now, I will say that from the original bills that were written, Senate Bill 1177 is much more explicit. I mean, to very defined detail. The whole entire bill is about mental health. The whole entire bill. H.R. 5 has actually been scrubbed a good bit of what was in the original bill because it was very explicit also. So it defined a lot of the behavior modification that is going to be used in the future and is being used right now. But with the reconciliation of both bills, I believe that both sides are going to get exactly what is in both bills. I think the compromise one will just be added to the other so that it is a huge bill, probably going beyond 1,400 pages. And of course, the Senate bill is over 1,000 pages now. And I believe the House bill is like a 600 and some page or something like that. And I have read both bills. And what I'd like to give